So my name is Liben. I'm a palliative care physician, pediatrician. I work in Montreal. How did I get into this field? Probably the way most people get into most things. I stumbled into it, I guess, and but it was a good stumble, sort of a planned stumble. So I was trained as a pediatrician. I worked in the hospitals. I trained in pediatric intensive care. So I was an intensive care doctor for like a decade. And I found that I was being drawn more and more to families that had very seriously ill kids, which also defines the children in pediatric intensive care. But that I don't know if it was enjoy the word, what I felt was meaningful rather than enjoyable was working with families where the kids were living for a long time and not just coming in and out of the ICU. So I was drawn sort of to palliative care work, and when there was an opening, I sort of made my way into it, and it turned out to be a good fit something like 18 years later. I don't really know, and I guess what I see is I don't see people so much afterwards. What I see them is during. I see people who seem to suffer a lot more during. Everybody suffers. They all suffer, but it's how much. Sometimes it's like unbearable, but it seems to be extra suffering. So but I think the crux of it is allowing what is to be as it is. So what does that mean? Because acceptance is even a level further. So when your kid's really sick or something really terrible is happening, we sort of have a choice, even though it doesn't feel like a choice. Like you can say, this isn't happening, I refuse to accept this. You know, my child's gonna get better, and that's the end of it. So the families that do that, and that's a coping mechanism, if their kid isn't gonna get better, there can be a lot of extra suffering along the way as they go through a lot of pain for procedures and other stuff that isn't gonna work. Even though some of it may be reasonable to try, some of it isn't, and it's particularly the holding on to the fact that this is unacceptable. So to give an everyday example that I think is easy to relate to, you know, if you're getting married one day, maybe you'll get married one day, and it's raining that day, the wedding, you know, it's pouring, and you had an outdoor wedding planned and everything else. Well, there's actually a couple of choices in there on what you're going to do about it. You can go, oh my God, it's raining, this is terrible, this is awful, this is horrible, oh, it can't rain, and you can carry on like that, and you can be really upset, and you can maybe feel sad and angry and all those things and go through the day like that. Or you could say, well, it's raining. I didn't want it to rain, but it's raining. Like whether I wanted to or not, this is what's happening. What am I going to do with this? How am I going to be with this? If you can sort of allow it to be as it is, because you can't change it, but you can allow your reaction to change. You can't change the thing, but you can change your reaction to the thing. So if you could sort of say, well, I can see that I don't like this, but it's not really going to be helpful. So I'm going to just allow it to be as it is and not keep saying it shouldn't be there, because it's going to be there no matter what I say. It is raining. Maybe there'd be some potential to enjoy the wedding day anyway. People enjoyed wedding days in the rain. I think so. I think people have had great weddings in the rain. So I'm not saying that having your child being really sick is as mild as raining out. But what's similar is that there's some things that are unchangeable. Like if your kid's really sick and has a terminal illness, and there's really nothing left in terms of hope for cure, there is room for hope for other things besides cure. That's what people find when they let go of resisting what's unchangeable. So if you let go of the fact that it's raining and say, well, what are the things that I can do on this day that's good? You might have a fun wedding day in the rain, it's possible, or you may be really meaningful. If your kid's really sick and you say, well, he's really sick, there's some of that I can't change. I hate it to my core, but I can't change it. But if you say, well, what can I do? Well, I have this moment with my kid. I have this time. Can I connect with them the best I can? Instead of using all my energy, taking it off that and putting it on to fighting something that's unfightable or unwinnable. So that's the difference that I see is dropping the resistance to what's happening and instead working with whatever there is.